Hello and welcome to the Weaver Virtual Studio. My name is Nomad and we are going to be getting into game number 4 of the grand finals of ESL 1 Germany, where Team Liquid are able to clinch themselves the championship title. And to help me get into the action in more detail is Mr. Gareth, and he's going to be doing that thing where he sprays all sorts of smart words from his mouth hole. But over here, we have got Mr. Earth Spirit with us. Played by Tiger, he had a huge impact in this game. Starting off in the early game, he was a massive presence across the match. And then later on as well, just finding a huge amount of impact. I mean, 21 assists. He was not here to play, he was here to win. And of course, we're going to have a look at how he impacted that early game map presence. Gareth, tell me more about it.
It was a great first 5 minutes for Tiger's Earth Spirit. It was a little bit boring to begin with, the regular start down at bottom, helping Boxy get an early lead, experience, gold, all that good stuff. But from that bottom lane, he does make some very important pivotal moves. Coming in towards the mid lane to pressure Tiny as he does pass under a Radiant Observer ward, but there's nothing that NAVI can actually do to mitigate the early rotations of Tiger's Earth Spirit, as he does make some very, very aggressive moves in there. Then a really beautiful move, honestly, as he moves again through the Radiant jungle, but this time sweeping through that Radiant triangle, placing down an aggressive Observer ward and setting himself up for these multi-pronged attacks into top and in towards the mid lane, as he does collapse in onto General Slardar and Always Wanna Fly's Disruptor up top.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of know whereabouts he is, but you can't just stop laning because Tiger's lurking around. You kind of have to try and find your efficiency elsewhere. And here we see that really coming into play in the middle lane. I mean, this is not what you want to do as a mid laner. Run away from this Earth Spirit and run and run and run and run, and then you don't even make it back to base, Gareth. You get killed off on the steps, and that is just a huge amount of time wasted for him.
Absolutely, 30 seconds out of the lane and being killed in the end is a travesty, as here we see the fruition coming from the Earth Spirit's rotations, yet again into that top lane. Then I swing in from behind the top tier 1, and a couple of stacks there, which we'll come back to in a second, as Tiger, this time, after moving in towards mid, he actually TP's top, making a surprise initiation yet again onto Slardar.
Yeah, and I mean, that really is like a huge impact in the laning phase just by playing between the mid lane and the top lane as well. But I want to go back to those stacks because Insania, this is his favorite thing to do. And this is how it affects these heroes, which can farm those stacks really easily. So you can see Quakever here on the right-hand side, making a jump of almost 800 gold across 1 minute from these stacks. And not to mention the neutral items they're getting from this as well.
And this is in part largely thanks to Tiger and his rotations, right? He's that bodyguard in front of those jungle camps, making sure that the stacks can happen and making sure that his team can actually go and take them. Now we move into a little bit later on where NAVI trying to react to that early, really fast-paced income from Liquid, but they're playing as 4 or 5 heroes all together, gathering around single targets.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to prove to be a big problem for them because on the side of Team Liquid, they are just much more efficient. And a little bit later on in the game, they make a much smaller play, but with much bigger impact. So we're going to have a look into exactly how they take these fights and exactly how it affects the net worth of the game. So you see early on here in the 2 net worths, you see they're very close together, the 2 teams. And that is because, it's the start of the game, everyone's farming at the same rate. The stacks, they make that increase a little bit, and then later on, we see just the complete out efficiency from Team Liquid, which really does push them ahead, bring them further forward, and allow them to start putting the pressure onto NAVI.
Yeah, and NAVI kept trying this move where they would bring a large number of heroes into one area of the map. For example, down south, again the Legion Commander showing herself there, while NAVI bring 5 heroes all into that one location, collapsing and yes, killing Legion Commander. But we take a step back and look at the rest of the map as Team Liquid owns literally 90% of it, as they're able to take control of top lane, the Radiant Triangle, Dire Triangle, every jungle camp under the sun, and it also has some knock-on effects.
Yeah, I mean, here down at bottom, we see that 5-man, 4-man rotation, and then just 15 seconds later, we see a poor little Tiny walking up into just 2 heroes. I mean, I'm not the best at counting, but even I know that 2 is a smaller number than 4, and when you're making these small plays with high results, that is how Liquid are really starting to clinch this grand finals.
Yeah, it was beautiful stuff the way they moved across the map. Tiger, of course, one of the linchpin heroes in being able to do that. And as we come to the end of the game, Liquid knew they really only had to do one thing. That was focus the anti-mage as soon as he showed.
And they did that perfectly. And to be honest, this game was an absolute treat to watch if you like Team Liquid. And you should, because this team played excellently in this event. I mean, this is how they beat Team Secret. This is how they beat everybody and took the championship title, by being so efficient, by playing as 5, and by everyone doing their roles so damn well. It was a pleasure to watch, and it is a pleasure to watch Team Liquid finally get themselves their first championship title here at ESL Germany, clenching the grand finals. And that's going to be it from us here at the Weaver Studio. Thanks for watching. And of course, if you want to find more information about Weaver and all the projects they're working on, then head over to @WeaverTV on Twitter. But from me and Gareth here in the studio, it's going to be goodbye.